Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Pure Soul Ask Nikki. It's nice to see you guys. Thank you for being patient with me and not having our session last time. And that's what I wanted to cover today. Since we didn't get a chance to meet last time, I thought we would use the video from last month to discuss today. And that was where it was I was not the one that gave the video. It was a guy that gave the video, and he talked about the 5 people that you need in your life. And so I thought we could spend a little bit of time talking about that today because I was thinking about that for like 3 or 4 days. And I kept changing my mind, like, oh, this person is my confronter. Oh, no, wait, this person is actually, well, when I was younger, this person was my confronter. And what I found is that through the course of my life, those roles have been occupied by many different people. And so it's really interesting because it's, I find a connection between the people that were part of my childhood that confronted me and or that comforted me or any of those 5 C's and the people in my life today and how some of the elements of those people are very similar to one another. So I thought that was very interesting. But I know Brittany was talking to me about it the other day, and you had a lot to say about it, huh? Do you want to share?
Well, I was thinking about it because as the guy's going through the list and he's like, you need this person who does this. And I think, oh, okay, mom does that. And then you need this one who will confront you. And I was like, mom does that. And then I was like, I went down the whole list and you hit every single one of them. So that totally applies to the multiple people can fit, or one person can fit multiple roles. And then the thing that he says at the end really got me thinking, if you have someone in your life that doesn't fulfill one of these 5 roles, are they taking up space? Like they don't need to be there. So it got me thinking really intentionally about all the different connections in my life and whether or not I can slot one of those people into one of these 5 slots. And if not, is that connection worth maintaining, right? And then I'm protecting like my peace also. But that was my thought on that.
Well, and I also thought, Britt, it was interesting because, okay, so take the challenger. Nick, you challenge me, right? At the same time, my sister challenges me, but you both challenge me in a very different way. You will ask me questions. You'll be like you'll ask me questions so that I can answer to confirm something, where my sister will challenge me in a way where she'll be like, she challenges, she's asking me for things to help her, which challenges me in a different way. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yeah, so like think of who is the challenger in your life? Who is the person that challenges you? And when we think of challenge, we can think, oh, that person challenges me all the time. But the way that I looked at that is this person challenges you to be better within yourself and to break your own boundaries and to really, a challenger for me is somebody who makes me reflect on my life or draws out something that I didn't know I had, right? So Brittany is my challenger because she makes me be better than I thought I was. So, like, ask Marissa, right? Like, I get nervous when I have to send her shit that I wrote because I'm like, I gotta send it to Brittany. She's probably gonna read it all, mark up, and then I don't know. It probably sucks. Do you think it sucks? Because I know that when Brittany gets a hold of it, she is going to do something with it that is going to either teach me something, or she'll send it back to me and give me her feedback, which challenges me to look at it in a different way or to rewrite it. Like she helped me work a lot on the empathy in me workshop. So I wrote it and then I sent it to her. And she sent me a whole Word document about like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. And what are you really trying to say here? I don't have any idea what you're trying to say over here. She's like, you got to structure that better. And she will give me like, she'll rewrite things for me and I get to see how it should sound. So when I think of a challenger, I think of somebody that challenges you to be better than you think you are. right? Because we think, when I sent it, I did a great job. I sent it. I was proud of my work. I thought I did it great. And then she got a hold of it. And yeah, when she challenges me, I get that feeling in my stomach like, ugh, and that lump in your throat. And that when you're challenged, how do you feel when you're challenged? Right. And that's how I feel. And so I have to sit back and I have to take time. And the end result and the end product is so much better than I thought I could do. But it's because I have the challenger that, says, "Oh no, you got more inside of you. You have more inside of you." And so when Pam and I were talking about this, and she says, "Well, you challenge me, but then my sister challenges me." And I said, "Yeah, but okay." So she explains how I challenge her, but then how does your sister challenge you, right? Your sister challenges you to go deeper inside of yourself, to find something in there that is outside of any condition.
Mm-hmm.
It's outside of the condition that you're my sister. It's outside of the condition that you're my friend. It's outside of the condition. So what her sister challenges her to do is to break all the conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's a beautiful thing, right? It's a beautiful thing what Brittany does for me. Right? So the challenger in your life helps you to grow, helps you to be better, helps you to break boundaries with yourself, helps you to see yourself in a better way. Right?
But it can be presented in a negative way, which you don't think that it's a challenger for you in a positive manner.
Well, it's how they deliver it, right? Brittany's very compassionate when she delivers information to people. Traditionally, if she's got something to say, she's going to say it in a way that she recognizes how you feel, and so it also does present, how do people present their information? Can you even hear the information behind the presentation? Like sometimes we get stuck and we don't hear the message because the presentation sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So if the presentation sucks, are we able to go beyond the presentation and really hear the message and then recognize, like, what if we're challenged with someone or we're confronted and we look at the people in our life, right? And we see, okay, this person comforts me in this way, but this person comforts me in this way, and this person comforts me in this way. I lost my train of thought, but anyway, that's where I'm at. But anyway, so think of the challenger in your life. Who is your challenger? How do they help you to grow? How do they help you to break the boundaries of yourself?
Challenger, to me, I was kind of confused on the challenger because I thought his video said a challenger is someone that loves so hard and lives so much. I can't remember what he said, and challenges you to.
That was a celebrator, I think.
Live your best. Someone like, I thought it was more like a role model to look up to, that you're challenging yourself to be more like them. Is that not what
you could totally take it that way too.
That's
right. We're all going to hear the same message, but we're all going to perceive it in a particular way.
Well,
when I first heard
what he said, but I could be wrong. And so that the challenger was the one I was like, oh, who's my challenger? Like someone that challenges me to live my best. And I don't know. The others I understood completely. That one I didn't quite understand because, like the way Pam is talking about a challenger sounds like somebody's challenging you, kind of like in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got
lots. My sister does.
But I thought that's not what he said. So
no, that's not what he said. I understand what you're saying. When Pam and I were talking about it on the phone, she had said, "Oh, my sister is my challenger," I think. Or I don't know how it went down. Or I said, "No, I think your sister is your challenger. She's the one that drives you to be better in yourself, makes you not be a conditional person, makes you be unconditional," right? Challenges those things inside of us to make us better people, to help us to grow in a way that we didn't even know we were capable of that. Wow, thanks. So I guess I took it the same way you did, but in our conversation, when we were talking about it, we had recognized that there's two different challenges. There's a challenge, people challenge you, or there's a challenge that challenges you to be better with yourself. So we were just talking about both aspects of when you say challenger right away, our brains think it's negative. That's what we think right away, because the word itself, challenger, right? So right away we're on the defensive. So when we think who's our challenger, we're going to look at the people that piss us off instead of looking at the people that make us be better people. Does that make sense, guys? Right. So so we know Pam's challenger, we know my challenger. Brittany, who is your challenger?
I've found that the challenger in a bunch of different people in my life for different reasons. So you're my challenger because you make me always want to understand the reason why I feel the way I do. So you challenge me to do a lot of self-reflection and alignment with self, and that is because you are so aligned. And kind of in Sue, your interpretation of the challenger, who are you trying to emulate? In this case, your alignment with self is I try to emulate it, and that makes you a challenger of my personal growth, and it's been wonderful. And then for Amanda, she challenges me to find more kindness in myself and or in other people. And so that I think fits more of like Sue, your definition of who am I emulating, like who pushes me to be more like a quality I see in the world that I appreciate. And Amanda has that. And so I think of her as somebody who challenges me to be better, more patient, more compassionate, more loving, more gracious. I look up to her for a lot of that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Okay. What about you, Sue? Who is your challenger now that we have that all worked out?
That's the one that I was like, well, do I have a challenger? And I think there's other, I get a little bit of challenge on this subject with that person or on this aspect with another person. Originally, I was thinking one person that I can admire and look up to. But anyhow, the one person that I found to be probably my most challenger in the positive way is actually you, Nikki.
Oh.
You're a challenger, even though we don't talk that often. But
when we talk like we always talk.
Right. But for trying to be better. And anyhow, my daughter definitely challenges me, but she's more of the negative, she's more of like calling me out, like, but as far as like looking up and wanting to emulate her, I always think of somebody that's, not my child, but I do look up to her in so many ways. In fact, I look up to a lot of millennials, the whole generation, like the commonalities that they have, and how work ethics have changed. And I'm not going with like they're lazy. No. I think that they are more in tune with the earth. They come together for a cause.
They're nicer to themselves.
They're what?
They're nicer to themselves.
They are, and they don't want to work and then go play like I've been doing.
Right.
They want to have fun while they're young. And so to me, I think they're a little more balanced. And they're the ones that are, saving the earth. Come on, us old friends. Like, really? So I mean, in those respects, I look up to her to try and be more like her, and the whole, of her peers that are doing that as well, But personally, I had a struggle with who my challenger is. So I've got a little bits here and there. But, but yeah, you're
awesome.
Nikki. And probably everyone in this Zoom. This whole Zoom is y'all are my challenger.
Awesome. Yeah, no, just on the millennial thing. Yeah, Brittany and I have had a lot of conversations because from my generation, we like didn't stop working until we're almost dead.
Right.
And it took me until, I was already in the workforce for like over 15 years when it clicks in my brain, like, oh my God, I've been killing myself for these people, like waiting for some kind of validation back, realizing like my validation back is my paycheck. That's my validation back. And I'm hired to do this, so I'm going to do this. If I got to work a little extra, I don't mind working a little extra, but I cannot give you my life. And that's where our generation was like, oh, you work until you die. That's and you just work until you can't even walk in the door. You're so fucking tired. And then, we were having this conversation the other day, and I'm like, no, I think, you got to take care of yourself. You have to decide, like, wait a minute, I already let you know this. I'm on vacation this day. I love everything you said, because
Yeah.
that is so true about that generation.
And they're living smaller. They don't want all the stuff,
Right.
which is great, because Americans were like, everything was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The houses are bigger, the cars are bigger, and more money. And it's like, what are we doing? And the millennials are changing that. And I just admire that whole
They're
generation.
composting.
They are. Oh my God.
Millennials are composting.
My daughter has chickens, and she recycles their whatever, the wood chips, or not the wood chips, whatever their bedding is. She puts it as
Yeah.
mulch underneath. I mean, she composts. She does all kinds of stuff. I mean, I didn't raise her that way. I mean, I love country life and farm life, but the simple life is coming back, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
So I'm chasing right behind you guys, going, wait.
Matt, who's your challenger?
I had to think about it for a little bit. I want to say there's several challengers in my life alone, but the one that does challenge me the most is probably my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And like her, I too am empathic, and we pick up a lot on a lot of people's energies, if you will. Whenever I'm having not so good day, she will just ask me like, okay, what do you feel about whatever? Like she'll get to like the root cause,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll help me see, and that's what she does. My mom just helps me see and realize that it's other people with whatever's going on in their lives,
In their lives, right?
and then and that's how I am too, where if I notice a friend is not having a good day, I'm just listening, and I'm like, okay, and how do you feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like, how do you feel about whatever? And then if they've been feeling bad, I'll say like, would you like a brownie? Something.
Brownies fix
Yeah.
everything.
Yes. It is that very active inclusion, just like my mom does. And but yeah, she's helped me see so much, and I have to say she's the one that helps me break down a lot of the challenges in my own life to find the better, clear forward path, and several others. But I mean, but like I said, the one is my mom.
Awesome. Jackie, how about you? Who's your challenger?
Well, I'm hating myself for not watching the video, but like immediately when I read the list, that was the first one I went to, and it's my sister, and I did kind of take it as a positive way. And it's kind of unusual that our relationship works this way, but my sister like probes and interviews and asks questions. Like if she knows I'm binging a show, then she like, and I'll say like, do you really care about this? And she'll be like, yeah, go for it. But she'll ask how the book I'm reading is, or what the show I'm watching, or whatever music I'm obsessing with. And then she'll be like, did you know this? Did you Google this? And she just sort of challenges me to like seek out information, which I think she's been doing all these years to distract me because it quiets my mind and it works. But I think she challenges me in a lot of ways just to like to face things and accept them and make changes if I need to. So I kind of looked at it as a good way, but I didn't see
That's
the video.
awesome.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And it sounds like in that way, she's your challenger and your comforter. So she
I was just thinking that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And Marissa, who is your challenger?
You may have to put yourself on mute because
I'm gonna go
echo.
on mute. Let me go on mute. Okay, I'm gonna mute.
Okay.
Am I on mute?
Yeah, you're on mute. Nobody can hear you.
Okay.
I would say my challenger is probably positive would be mom, because you always, I don't know, I always want to be you. And then Poppy is probably my negative, only because he tests my patience quite a bit. And I always try to be patient, but you know, he just is constantly there being like, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And but he always, in general, he always tries to make it so that, you know, I'm good to go. And, you know, he challenges me also in a positive way. But I would say that those two are the most.
It's true,
Probably.
you are really patient with him.
Yeah, he's one of those where, like, if he gets an idea in his head, he'll obsess about it for as long as he can until it's either fixed or he's got it in his hands. So, like, for example, there was these shoes that he wanted off of Facebook, and he ordered the shoes, and they haven't come yet, and he keeps asking me about them every single day for the last 3 weeks. And I'm like, did you get an email? Is there a text message with the confirmation? And he's like, no, but I want to know, when do you think they're gonna come? I'm like, I don't know. So he does challenge me to be patient with him, because you know, he's a little older. So, you know, I got
Bossy.
he is, he just obsesses over things. And so it just reminds me to be patient, you know, and just remember that he grew up in Mexico, so he doesn't really know all of the technology stuff, and I kind of have to just be there for him. So yeah, that's my challenger. Those two are mine.
You gotta unmute, Nikki.
Okay, hi. What about you, Amanda? Who's your challenger?
Okay, so funny.
Okay.
When I listened to the video, the first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, Britt is all of these for me. I need to find more people. No, I'm just kidding. No, I know, because I was like, she's the only person I can think of that does literally all those things for me. But I would say growing up, though, my dad was my challenger, because he made me always want to be better in school and everything. But currently in my life, I would say Britt is my challenger, because she made me believe in myself so that I could go back to school for OT. And I guess in that sense, she would be my comforter too.
Awesome. Beautiful. And Haley, I don't know if you want to talk. Do you want to talk?
Yeah, I can talk. Kenobi's like partially laying on me, and I'm in this like weird position on the bed. I'm like,
Okay. Yeah.
40-pound whippet on me right now.
Yeah. Who's your challenger?
So, you know, when I was younger, I would say like my grandpa on my mom's side and my dad has kind of been throughout my lifetime. For my grandpa, he has always challenged me in the sense of like the fears that I had or like misconceptions, like even down to how I would eat salsa, of like if I just dipped it in, he would challenge me like, have you tried the other things that are in the bowl? Like, you know, like even like if it's in a joking way of kind of similar like personality. So it felt more positive, but maybe at the moment. For my dad, he has always been a challenger, and it's been more, I would say, in the negative, but how I perceive it now is I didn't want to hear the message. So when you don't want to hear the message, it's going to come across as negative.
I totally agree with you, because I feel the same about my dad. It felt so negative for like 19 years, and then something clicked where I felt like the sense of gratitude for his negative way of
Yes.
challenging me that totally like saved my life. You know, I totally agree with that, Haley. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that.
And then I
Yeah,
would say like
mhm.
more currently, Hank challenges me on my reactions. Like he will say
Mm-hmm.
something that makes me like the other day he's like, "What time is it tomorrow?" I'm like, "I don't know, 2 o'clock." And he was like, "Why did you say it like that?" And I was like, "I don't even know." I'm like, "I have to sit with it. I'm not sure why I talked like that." I'm like, "I'm so sorry." But just that space of like he challenges like my reactions that I don't even understand I'm internally having.
That's amazing. That's
And you know,
amazing.
so just like that, it depends on what perspective I'm in, whether I take it as negative or positive. So like that interaction was positive of, wow, I have to look at this. Whereas other moments, it may come across as him being like hypercritical on me.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's really a good way to look at it too. Like when we feel that it's negative, we really have to ask ourselves, are we just not willing to hear the message?
Yeah.
And that's what that anger or bothersome or negativity feels like. Is just we're pushing back. We're not ready to accept that about ourselves yet. So
Because
that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I would say for Hank, I'm his challenger probably back. Is he said, I had a conversation with him yesterday and he said, um, I just was asking something about school and I could tell he got really frustrated. And I said, "Can you explain to me what you think I'm trying to ask you, or like what is going on?" And he's like, "Well, you're saying I'm doing this bad." And I was like, "I'm not." So to challenge how we talk to each other and interpret. So I'm challenging that just because he feels something doesn't make it the reality of what I'm saying. It's his interpretation, right? So like it's very much communication being challenged on both ends for us.
Yeah, and you know, that kind of takes us to our trigger points too, because we all have those buttons that everybody can press. And when something does affect us like that in a negative way, or we feel something, we have to make sure that what we're feeling is not, like Haley said, simply the response to our own internal trigger. You know, if I told, my best friend that I'm going to go on a diet and lose a bunch of weight, and then my best friend and I go out to dinner and I order like pizza and a large fry and a chocolate sundae, she's going to be like, why are you eating all? I thought you were, how's your diet, Nick? And then when she says, how's your diet, Nick? I'm going to feel that clench in my stomach, like, oh, how rude. Why is she even asking me? She must think I'm fat. But maybe she's just asking me because I told her last week I was going on a diet. Maybe it wasn't critical at all. Do you see? But I failed something in my own solar plexus. So any notion of that from the outside world challenges me or hits that trigger point. So that's a great point too, Haley. Thank you. Awesome. So we also have, and we don't have to go through every single one, but we also have comforter and I can't even see confronter, counselor and celebrator. So a lot of people can fill those slots, or one person can, and you probably fill that slot for others. So when you think on the flip side, we spent a few days thinking like, oh, who are these people in our life? Who are you in the life of people? And do you have a general way that you are you pretty much the confronter to everyone or for everyone? Or are you the challenger for everyone? Are you the comforter for everyone? Or are you the celebrator for everyone? Like Pam, when I think of you, I think you're the celebrator. You're the celebrator because you'll celebrate the first step forward, the single step you take on your journey of a bazillion steps. She's gonna cheer right at step one, like, you fucking did step one. Yeah, let's go out to dinner. Let's celebrate. Like it's a joyfulness at each pass, at each step. So I feel like you do that for a lot of people. I see you do it for my kids. I see you do it for people, that encouragement. And I think you do that at your job. And I think that's one of the things that probably is really, like, your job likes that about you. People like that about you. And so I would say, if I had to pick one of those to say, what are you? Which one calls to me the biggest about who you are? I would say the celebrator.
And I kind of
Right. So
that's what I felt like too, Nick.
yeah. So like when you think of yourselves, Like, what are you? I think for myself, I think counselor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'll counsel the cashier at the BP gas station. You know, if she asks me a question, I'll have a whole hour-long conversation. You know, like I struggle with that myself so long in my life that to just make sure I wasn't crazy and that I needed that space for me to discover that about myself and to realize my own logic and how my brain worked and how the spirits work. And so I think I try to help people always be clear about who they are with themselves. Like, who is your first friend? It's not me, it's your own spirit. Like, that is your first friend. And I think I try to get people to recognize that about themselves. So I would say that if I had to pick who am I out of all of those, I would say counselor.
Do you think
Marissa,
we, I'm sorry, do you think
Haley.
what we give out is what we don't give to ourselves or what we're wanting from other people?
I think in this context, like for me, I think I counseled myself so much.
Mm.
So I don't think it's what I was a deficit. I don't think I had a deficit.
But like I'm saying, did you need that from other people? So you gave it to other people because that's what you really wanted. So you gave it so much to yourself.
Absolutely. When I was growing up, I did need some explanation for some stuff that was happening with me, and nobody would give me that explanation. You know, it was difficult. So yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, Haley. I think and then I accomplished it. Like, I looked for the reason in the world. I looked for the counseling in the world, didn't find it in the world, found it within my own journey and my own self and my own spirit through my faith, reading the Bible. Like, that's where I found the clarity of myself. And only until I found that did I become the counselor. Because prior to that, I was definitely the confronter. So, yeah, that's really good. What about you, Haley? What is if you had to choose who you are and all of those, what do you think you are?
You know,
I think counselor too.
I think counselor, I go
I do
back,
too.
obviously it's like my job. You see how my brain works.
Right.
It's just I'm processing everything of how or the why are we the way that we are. But I think there's a component too of comforter that when I hear information, I want people to feel that it's really safe. That no matter what you tell me, it is safe. So it's almost like a combination of both of you will come, I will counsel, but I will also know that it's okay and that like you're okay and nothing's actually wrong with you.
Yeah, that's very true about you. Awesome. Marissa, what do you think you are out of all of those? Well, I'll go on mute.
I don't know, Bray. What do you think?
I think you're the celebrator.
The celebrator? Yeah, I could say that. Yeah, I could see that.
You give people like the exact validation that they need for whatever it is. Like, you match whatever their need for validation is, that's what you give them. And you do that like very easily, and I think that makes you a celebrator.
I think also comforter.
Yeah.
You comfort people, Mar.
Oh God, no.
I think you do. You're always you're always, asking if somebody's okay, or, you're always like, or if somebody does something, you're like, it's okay. I don't know.
I can see those two.
What do you think?
Definitely.
What do you think she is?
Definitely celebrator.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, I agree. Celebrator and comforter. Thank you, guys.
Oh, you're muted.
Gosh, Matt, what are you? You know what I'll do? I'll like edit the video and I'll cut out that first part that just goes. And then I'll put him this one that says, Matt, what are you? Matt, what are you out of those 5? I know.
Yeah, well, I want to say I'm about 4 of the 5 there.
Well, the
To me,
dominant one. Your dominant one.
the dominant one. Okay. I want to say comforter.
I agree. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I agree with that.
And
Totally.
I challenge in a positive way, if you want to put a challenger in that category. And then celebrator, yeah, I get happy and excited. And same deal with like you, Pam. I'm like, hell yeah, let's celebrate, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And then counselor, and a other than that, I have to say those are the 4 for me. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I would definitely lean toward comforter for you as your dominant, So, Jackie, how about you?
I'm surprising myself because I would have thought counselor, but no, it's actually comforter. Like, I desperately want everyone to be comfortable. People come to my house to take a nap on my couch and to get away from their homes. Like, if you're a grown up and you want to run away from home, like, come on over. But like, I just desperately want everyone to be comfortable, and it definitely fits with what Haley said. Like, I grew up in a home where I was not comfortable. I was never comfortable at home ever. And now I'm obsessed with it. Like, are you comfortable? Can I get you something to drink? Can I get you something to eat? Do you need a pair of slippers? Like, do you want to take a shower? Like, I just obsessively, whatever I can do to make sure the people around me are comfortable. If you're sick and I know it, like, I'm all over you. Is there anything I can do? And it really is genuine because
Yeah,
I want everyone
I
to be
agree with
comfortable.
that about you. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. I agree. Yeah. Marissa's like nodding her head, but she's on mute. Oh, you can see her because she's on screen. Okay. And Sue, what about you?
Oh, well, I with different people, I'm different things, but
Different things.
probably definitely the most dominant is the counselor, but about different things. I mean, talking about feelings and stuff is not necessarily my forte, but if you've got a problem, I'll make you
You have a lot of knowledge, and you have very logical and have a lot of knowledge about stuff.
Yes, and I can help people through that. Even, you know, I've kind of played the peacemaker role in my family too, and that's a way of counseling too, sort of. But it's more like a plan, you know, to say, explaining whatever, and this is what you need to do. You need to approach it this way, you know. So yeah, I'm definitely a counselor. But with my daughter, I'm a celebrator a lot.
Yeah. Awesome. Amanda?
I would say out of all of them, I'm probably a comforter. A comforter who wants to be a counselor too. But I think I always am concerned about my own discomfort and I want to avoid that as much as possible. So I feel like it's natural for me to want to comfort people.
That's true about you. You seem to empathize with explanation. Like, and that's helpful. You know, like you feel what somebody feels, but then you provide an explanation like that kind of proves it. Like, I know why you feel this way. I remember one time I felt this and here's why. And then when you say it, you're like, oh yeah, you get it. You get it. You get it. And it does. It is very comforting. It is very comforting from you. So I agree with that a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Brittany.
Mine. So while we were all going around, I was thinking about mine, and it's going to make me ask you a different question that kind of leaves this topic. So anyway, so mine felt like I used to be a confronter. I used to be the one that would like call you out, and I was not kind about it. I was rough. And over the last year, I've gone through like a spiritual mental health journey and realigning with God and learning more about myself and coming at peace with myself through like therapy and through religion. And I feel like that has shifted for me of like the role that I play. And so I don't feel like a confronter anymore. I'm trying to be more of a celebrator and a comforter instead, and be like an inactive role. So with that being said, I wanted to ask you, Mom, when somebody has like a big transformation of self, like what?
No, I don't think you're a confronter. I think you're a comforter. Because look at what you do for everyone else. Like Amanda gets sick and you're like, oh my God, I gotta order her soup. I gotta give her a blanket on the couch. I'm gonna make the couch as cozy as possible so that when she recovers, she's golden. Like when I was going through my experience, I mean, I'm not gonna say it because it's TMI. Pee bucket. She held my pee bucket in the hospital because the wound vac was attached to the wall, and every time they would take it off, they would have to plug it back in and then shoot the pressure up, and it would hurt really bad. So to avoid that, Brittany would sit there with an actual bucket in the hospital and let me pee anyway. But no, I would say you're a comforter. I don't think you're a confronter. I don't think you've ever been a confronter. I think you've always been a comforter. Even with everything else last year, you always naturally have been a comforter, even for Mom. Like Mom had back pain when you were little and you would rub her back. 3 years old and you would rub her back. You know, so I don't know. I think you're a comforter. I personally think you're a comforter for everyone.
I agree.
So, yeah.
So Brittany, aren't you crown chakra dominant?
I'm throat chakra dominant.
Oh, you're throat chakra dominant. Oh,
can't you tell? I'm
some reason
so
I had it in my head that you can make a plan and figure out how to solve problems.
Yeah.
Well, and it sounds like the comforter in you is like, oh, that person has a problem and I can make them more comfortable by doing A, B, C, D, D, you know, so you rush over there to do it.
That's totally her.
Me. That's what I do.
That's totally her. That is so spot on.
And I
She'll
don't
think
even
of like 100 different ways to Tuesday. You have all of the options. If she'll bring all of the options. If this makes you feel better, I brought this. But then if you don't want that, I also have this in case this makes you feel better. But if you would prefer, if you want the other thing, I can go get the other thing if I didn't bring the other thing. You know what I mean? So she very much is just like that. Yeah, you're right, Sue. You're right. That's a great way to describe you, both of you.
Well, now that like kind of negates the question I was going to ask, which was when somebody goes through a massive transformation of self, how does their spirit embody their energy differently? So if you
okay, I totally get what you're saying, but you already answered it. In your own perception, you say, I used to be a confronter, now I'm a comforter. And I said, oh, I used to be a confronter, but now I am a counselor. But if I'm not counseling you and you piss me off, I will confront you. And you are a comforter unless you become the confronter. And what flips us from one side to the next side is the trigger points, the conditioning energy, our perception based on the relationship we have with ourselves, not the relationship we have with you. So does that make sense? Because as we're talking about it, like I can see it. I can still see the confronter in me. But the confronter in me, like that person that confronts you, that probably comes, that's to me the opposite effect of counseling. I can confront as I counsel. But if I confront without counsel, I'm a bitch. Do you see what I'm saying or what I'm trying to say about this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, you're saying that there's, maybe we could call it like a light side, shadow side, sort of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation where like they all make up you, right? It kind of, to Matt's point, like you feel like most or almost all of these people, well, all of those are part of being human. And maybe you have a dominant one that is your best self. and maybe you have a negative one that is maybe not your best self, your shadow side. So maybe when you are feeling depleted in one of these areas, you're showing the harsher side of yourself or the negative side of yourself. But when you give to others from a more centered and aligned place of one of these 5 options, and you get it in return, then you can reflect your best self out. I don't know. I'm just talking.
No, and I get that. I'm like, I feel like I'm in a programming class doing object-oriented programming because I have buckets of information all over the place. Because we have these 5 C people that we should have in our life. So we've talked about having them all there on the positive side, but also on the negative side. And then we come to realize that the negative side is based on our perception because of an inadequacy or an insecurity that we feel within ourselves, which then negates the idea of positive versus negative for any of these C things. But then we switch that and we start talking about, okay, who are we out of these 5 things? We choose our dominant one, but then our mind stretches to the other side. If I confront and counsel, that's good. But if I confront without counsel, then that's not good. That would indicate the negative or the flip side to my own insecurity or my conditioning. I should be able to counsel you and confront you at that time. I shouldn't have to just confront you. So I agree with you in that description that it's like a shadow side, but they're literally like, it's like an array. Like in this position at this time, and this is how this goes. This is how this feels. These descriptions, like, see, we never find the answer. There is no answer, right? It's just one meaning. It's we live in a very layered universe that from confronter and challenger, just those 2 descriptions that we more dove into a little bit today in Celebrator, is like, we can already see layers of vibration, layers of understanding in so many different directions, all based on just this group. Like, what
You
if
know
we
what it
had
almost
10 more
reminds me
people?
of?
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Haley.
Saying it almost reminds me of when you told that story of like you got a job somewhere and you filled out the paperwork and then the people said, "Oh, we're not
Oh,
going to hire
yeah,
you." How
yeah. State of
everyone
being.
just has a different state of being. They have a different perception. You are just simply going to see it from the vantage point that you're at in every situation. So it's not, as my son would say, it's not that deep. It just depends on where you're at in that moment.
Right.
So if I'm in a
Perfect.
more negative space, I may see something or perceive if somebody's confronting me versus if from their vantage point, they may actually be trying to just challenge my way of thinking. Right. So
Right.
they're all intertwined. It's just some of us may lean into more than others, where I've had somebody say, when I assume I'm counseling, right, as the counselor, they'll say I'm the challenger because they don't want to hear it.
Or sometimes,
Right. So it's just your perception.
sometimes people could perceive you as being the confronter, when maybe you're just simply setting a boundary with that person.
Yeah.
True.
They
Totally.
think confrontation, and you're just simply setting a boundary of how you're going to be treated or talked to or whatever.
Very true.
I don't think that needs counseling necessarily. I think it just depends on
Right.
the relationship and who this other person is.
It's like, what point in time are you standing at with whom, and what is the alignment of the planets in the universe? Because there's a lot depending on how we're going to interpret that. What were you going to say, Jackie?
I was just gonna say, crap, did I lose it? Not to change the subject, but Britt said something about when we were talking about being all 5 of those, and Britt said something like, if one's depleted, like I just realized maybe it's like your 5 senses, where if you lose one, then the others become stronger. So it's not like a negative or a positive necessarily, but maybe it's not a coincidence that there's 5 of those figures. And it really is like, I could see like one is your best self, one is where there's room for improvement, but maybe these are all intertwined. And as we're depleting one of those buckets, like the other senses become stronger. I think it was
Oh,
smarter
wow,
like a
that's
minute ago on my but
no, that's fascinating way to think of it, and I totally agree with you. What were you going to say, Britt? That's fascinating.
Well, but that's what Matt was saying, right? Matt was actually saying about the fact that he saw himself in all 5 of those, right, Matt?
Yeah.
In 4 of those?
So one of yours is depleted, Matt. If we reference it in the way that Jackie was talking about it, then you can see yourself in 4, but not the 5th. Then there's a depletion there someplace.
Or
That's
could it
so
be
fascinating.
not necessarily depletion, but you just haven't been exercising that. You haven't been using that.
Or there's no need to exercise it, or and if you don't need it.
I think about my whole upbringing, and for many, many years, I would never confront people when I thought maybe they were overstepping their bounds with me or saying the wrong things with me, whatever. I never wanted to be the confronter. I would always just go, okay. And I would walk away. So maybe it's not like I was depleted. Maybe it just hadn't emerged yet.
Right.
that's usually when we need to overcompensate then. Well, at least I do.
Wow, no, that's what a way to look at it.
Overcompensate.
And now my brain is going to be going for another 3 days on this topic. That's awesome. What were you going to say, Britt?
I don't remember now. I lost it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Were you, and Sue, were you?
No, I was just laughing, but
Oh, okay. Okay.
I did.
I have the
say
thing on that bounces to green when someone's talking, and I saw it go to green.
Oh, well, I was muted, so oh well. Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's great. Okay. Does anybody have any other comments or questions? My brain right now is a little frozen at what Jackie said. You stopped me in my tracks. Now I have to think about like the senses of the soul and the senses of the spirit. And when we unite the body and the soul, like where do these 5, what if I take these, each one of them, and interpret them as spiritual senses? How does that impact me then? Like that's where my brain is now. Like my brain is frozen on that topic. I'm thinking of it in that context, which to me makes me, I need to ponder that. Like I really need to ponder how that connects the body and the soul. And when we referenced a lot of this, we reference it very much from the consciousness of our humanity. And we spoke more about the growth of our humanity, the balance of our humanity, but the way that you express it, like when you bring that up, what if these are like our 5 senses? And what if these 5 senses are what connects our body and our soul? And what role do each of these have within the body and soul? How many times a day is your spirit, your challenger, your celebrator, your comforter, your confronter? If I, just saying that, if I apply those things to me and my spirit relationship, the relationship that I have with my soul, do I find all of these elements in my soul body relationship? Like when I get dressed up and I'm ready to go out and my inside self is like, girl, you look good, girl. Like, whoo, like, that's not my brain. It just popped into my head. My spirit is telling me like, hey, you did a good job doing, fixing yourself up a little bit. Like there's these times where I'm thinking, yeah, my soul has been my cheerleader. My own soul has been my challenger. My own soul has been my comforter. But how do you distinguish? Like, I want to go back and think about different times in my life where my soul was such a huge participant and which of these roles were fulfilled in that. It's just my brain is stuck there. So we can probably end unless anybody has anything to say, because I'm probably not moving off that topic for a couple days.
No, that's got me thinking now too.
Right?
Yeah.
if
Thanks, Jackie.
I love that though, the senses
No,
of
you
soul.
actually, you're welcome. Very literally, you are all welcome
Mhm.
because my mind is blown too, and this obviously
Yeah, it
happened for a
is
reason.
really a great
Hey,
thing to
it
think
beats.
of.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the days when I would say and do inappropriate things and forget that these were being recorded? Now look.
I love it. But
That's where
I
editing
like
comes in.
thinking of it, relating it to the actual senses, because
Yeah, which one is which?
which one is which, right? Also, which one is
Mhm.
which? And then in addition to looking around and seeing who in your life fulfills each of these critical roles, each of these necessary roles, are you fulfilling those roles for yourself?
Yes.
In what ways are you your counselor? In what ways do you celebrate yourself? In what ways do you challenge yourself? In what ways do you confront yourself? In what ways do you comfort yourself?
See, that's a whole other
Dude,
level.
That's
like
a whole
you know
other,
what?
we need another hour.
Well, we can start with that. So
know.
sense of taste is obviously the comforter because we eat comfort food.
Oh, that I was
We can
trying
start
to
with
figure
that.
that one out. That's great.
Totally.
I think the confronter is the sight, because I can see you,
When
you're
you
exposed.
when you
Oh,
write a
yeah.
book, Nikki, it should be called Soul Senses. I wrote that down. Soul
Jackie,
Senses.
I think that you have to write a book called Soul Senses.
Yay! Okay.
Yeah.
Done.
I think that's you.
Okay.
But
I'll
I'll
get on that.
collaborate with you if you like, and we
All
can do
right.
it together.
Awesome.
So I'm totally in.
Awesome.
You guys, it was awesome, today's conversation. Thanks so much for joining. I love you guys so much. I wish everybody a really very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Happy
Bye.
holidays.
Cheers.
Happy
Happy holidays,
holidays.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.